Bruce, do you expect Art Briles to survive all this?
I'm not sure. I mean, my gut is he's in real trouble there. I saw the reports that yesterday morning that Ken Starr was out and he would be the fall guy. I just don't buy that scenario where Ken Starr would be the president of the university, and while he'd have responsibility for what goes on at the school, the idea that there's so many allegations here with Baylor football. Players have been convicted of rape already. There's been issues where there was a sexual assault report of 2 players. One of them was as a starter for more than 2 years that the school didn't look into it or didn't really do anything about it. How Art Briles would be able to not have knowledge or not have responsibility when if the president is going to get forced out. I mean, I just don't see that dynamic, how that works. I know people are cynical and they go, well, the football coach is the best coach they've ever had, and they built a stadium for him. But if it's to the level of the president getting fired, and it's a responsibility where there are more lawsuits in the pipeline coming, and I think it's really a stretch to think that Art Briles is not in serious jeopardy of losing his job because of all this, because the allegations, not just the allegations, but there have been players who've already been convicted of rape. There are others in the loop. It's not just like, hey, you can point to this one instance. I mean, that's I think the part that is so troubling, and I think what people have to keep in mind is it's not the coach's responsibility to determine, okay, this allegation seems stronger than this. You can't take it lightly. In the way that the rules are set up around, Title IX, the Clery Act, there had to be a protocol, and that was not followed. So, I mean, I think he is in serious jeopardy of losing his job.
Bruce, one of the things that gets coaches fired is bad publicity. And as bad as the Baylor story is about player behavior, it hasn't really captured national headlines. It hasn't captured the shows. You can't really put your finger on, because Art Briles is not Nick Saban or Les Miles as a household name. Baylor football is not a household name. Do you think the lack of coverage of the story could almost let this go away over the next few months and if Art Briles makes it to the season, he could be okay?
I thought it could have. That was the case maybe coming out of the season. These last couple of outside the lines reports were such eye-openers for a lot of folks that it was like, whoa, this has been going on here, that I think it's kind of jolting for people to see. And that the aspect of this program that was a doormat for so long, and Art Briles came in and turned it into a powerhouse. I mean, they were on the fringe of making the college playoff 2 seasons ago. I mean, they are a legitimate top 15 program. And if you were to ask me which coaches would have been had the most clout at their schools, Nick Saban would have been at the top of the list. Art Briles would be really close to the top of that list because, and more so than a lot of guys who were more famous coaches, because of the fact that Baylor had been so bad before he got there, and he completely flipped the program on its ear. Now, having said all that, and also, by the way, he had the opportunity to get in the mix for the Texas job, and because he wasn't going to, he basically wasn't going to be handed it sight unseen without interviewing. He stayed at Baylor. They built him a stadium. I mean, all those factors are why he has so much clout there. But again, the details of these allegations are so horrific. I mean, this isn't about a program, where it's extra benefits or cheating or that kind of thing. This goes so far beyond that. And because there are so many lawsuits in the pipeline, and they're already settling some of them, the school has been hired an outside firm to investigate it back in September after the first, Baylor player was convicted of rape. I just think that, I don't think this story is going away. And, we'll see what happens. They said they're going to have, yesterday, they put out a statement that said they will have some kind of announcement by June 3rd. I mean, so we're gonna get some sort of resolution in the next couple of weeks.
Bruce, Baylor was top 5 in the AP poll. I mean, They had a legit shot this year, didn't they? Seth Russell's coming back from his neck injury. They have Jared Stidham, a kid actually I did a story on in high school, who's the natural out of Texas, at quarterback as well. Isn't that a factor, the fact that this could be the one year where everything came together in Waco, or has it gotten so bad that that can't even be considered?
No, I mean, look, I think when you talk about the talent they have, I mean, they lost a first-round pick at receiver. They're still really loaded at receiver. Now, they did lose a bunch of good linemen. Andrew Billings was a real impact guy for them on the defensive line. Spencer Drango, it was a real experienced offensive line. They're going to miss those guys. But, again, I think because of the nature of these allegations, it's forcing them to look. I think they know. I mean, I know we talked about this a minute ago. I think they get that the country is watching this, or at least the country's sports fans now. Baylor is that story in college football. And remember, it wasn't that long ago where you had the Dave Bliss scandal, where you had a basketball coach in a cover-up for a murder on his team. I mean, so Baylor has had some real ugly stuff in its athletic department, but now, again, as you said, I mean, this would have been a team that's a top 15 team. But, we have to see what kind of shape this program is going to be in, after June 3rd.
Bruce Feldman, Fox Sports college football writer on the Dan Patrick Show. Bruce, let me lighten it up. I think it's about 100 days till we kick off the college football season. Two-part question. The quarterback whose name we don't know now, that what we could be talking about as a pro prospect, Heisman prospect, and the best college football food town, not best tailgate, but best town to just spend a weekend eating.
Oxford's really good for eating. Oxford, Mississippi. I mean, it's great Southern food. It's definitely high on the list. I think there's a handful of places you could go to in Big Ten country and certainly in SEC country that would fit that. I mean, I would start with Ole Miss just in terms of the food part of it. As far as the QB prospect that maybe it would rise up pretty fast, I would say keep an eye on Davis Webb. He started for a couple of years at Texas Tech. He has a big arm. He's 6'5", 220, coach's kid. Now, he got injured, and then he wasn't able to overtake the guy, Patrick Mahomes, whose dad was a baseball player, who's really talented too. Now, he's a little younger. Mahomes, I think, will be an NFL prospect. He has a huge arm. Mahomes is younger. Davis Webb just transferred as a grad student to Cal, and I think he's going to put up big numbers there, and I think he's going to be a guy who's going to get a lot of attention for as the season goes on. I mean, he's the one who's going to end up replacing Jared Goff. Now, they lost their top 6 receivers. They do have some young, talented receivers, but I think there's a lot there for NFL people to be intrigued by.
Bruce, thanks a lot for calling in, and we got to get a road trip down to Oxford, Mississippi. I haven't been there in about 20 years, and it's killer.
Yeah, well, you'll gain 10 pounds and probably take 5 years off your life, but it'll be worth it.
Wouldn't be the first time. Thank you, Bruce, for calling in.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.